Okay. It is just about 8:30, so let's go ahead and let's get started. All right. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who has showed up. Everybody's here. Everybody online who's joining us. This is our first time getting together for what I want to consider a kickoff to a kick-ass week. And this is something that, for the longest time, I was in the corporate world, in corporate America, had teams, had dozens, if not hundreds of people that I worked with, and over the course of time, thousands. It was a phenomenal experience for me, but it was a time in which I realized that I was all about watching other people's success and watching them grow, watching them become better, and watching them ultimately achieve what it is that they want to achieve. Because at the end of the day, it's what I like to call the Mother Teresa effect. And no, I'm not saying that anybody like this is a saint. What I'm saying is that Mother Teresa, in effect, she didn't just go out and do good for the world because she didn't like it. She did good for the world because it made her feel good, right? She felt good internally. She knew that she was doing the right thing. So whenever you find yourself in a position to where you feel as if you are doing the right thing, you are on the right path. And that's what we're going to go into, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to kick today off, first off, by kind of explaining a little bit to you all who I am, where I'm from, what I do, and kind of my journey here so far. So my name is Roger Barberry. Born and raised here in Kansas City, Overland Park. I graduated from Rockhurst High School in 1997, and since then, I've kind of been a nomad to a degree. I have traveled quite a bit, everywhere from New York City to California to Colorado. I lived in Italy for a very brief amount of time doing West Side Story. I've been all over the board. But at a certain point in time, I did end up going into the corporate world after being in musical theater for quite some time through the New York circuit. And when I went into corporate America, first off, I started doing real estate on and off periodically in New York City. Prior to that, back in what would have been effectively 2003, 2002 through 2007, 2008, around there. And it was in 2008 that I went out to California. When I was in California, I started working for Bridgepoint Education and Ashford University. And it was there that I learned about leadership and about business development and about what it takes to get people to get to the next level. And if anybody remembers, right, back in 2008, that's when we were having the credit crisis, right? Everything was crashing, especially in the real estate market. You had real estate agents and mortgage lenders and brokers all going out of business, losing jobs, trying to find places to go. And a lot of them gravitated to the environment, especially on the West Coast where I was at in San Diego. A lot of them gravitated to the new for-profit education system that had just been rolling out. University of Phoenix, you had SNHU, Southern New Hampshire University, you had Ashford University, and a bunch of others. So anyway, I had started with Ashford University about 5 years into their inception. And at the time, they were very, very small. So it was still 4 years in, a great opportunity to get in and learn leadership from a ground perspective up. And I learned a lot of things. I learned what it is that I like to do. I learned what it is that I don't like. I learned how it is that I like to be led. I learned what it was that affected others in positive and negative ways. And in so doing, I was able to comprise basically an overall strategy for working with others to help them reach their end goals. When I was at Ashford University, there was a time early on in my management career where the for-profit education sector came under fire, as it should have. And it came under fire, and they said, look, you guys are operating in a way so that the more people you enroll, the more money your employees are getting paid. And what that did was it just created a bad education system, right? So the federal government steps in, they say, look, you got to stop, you can't do that anymore. Here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to put you on a matrix. And so that matrix would allow you to earn certain compensations based upon XYZ. So right before the turnover to straight salaries, we had one last chance to really get everybody a big bump. And I remember sitting down with my team, and there was one young lady in particular, and I won't mention her name, But one young lady in particular that I sat down and I worked with, and she looked at me and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, I have to make sure that I'm earning the most money possible before this new regulation kicks in. And I asked her, we talked a little bit about her situation, and long and short is she was helping her mom, helping her family. They were in a bad spot, but because of her and how well she was doing, they were coming out of it, health issues and what have you, and able to take care of it. But they needed to make sure that they had the longevity. They needed to make sure that they had the income down the line. So we had to make sure that she earned the income that she needed. So what do we do, Ryan? What do we do? We reverse engineered. We found a goal. What is the ultimate goal? So how many students do you need to enroll? How many, what's the retention rate that you need to keep? What does that look like in order to get to the highest level in the matrix? And so we reverse engineered. We found the ultimate goal. We backed out how many applications she would have to take, how many scheduled appointments she would have to see, how many phone calls she would have to make, what the conversion rates were on all those. And then we kept track of those over the next 6 months in order to get her to where she needed to be. And right at the last minute, boom, she ended up, I think, 2 or 3 students over where she needed to, and it all worked out well. But the case in point is that we set a plan. We set a plan to get to an ultimate goal. And even more so, it's that the goal had a purpose. That was the bigger piece in all of it, was that the goal had a purpose, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're not going to start off talking about goals. We're not going to jump right into that. Instead, today, I want to talk more so about how is it that we get to what our goal should be? How is it that we understand where that goal comes from? And so, in my humble opinion, it all stems back to one thing. And that's your why. Pardon my little mini board over here. I've got to get a bigger board and get a big whiteboard. This is a last minute kind of jump in there. But it's all about our why. We have to find our why. So what are the things that we can do in order to establish that? What is our why? What does that mean? Okay, so I was always taught a long time ago that, and this is a great quote, it's a quotation that's been used by so many people, something that I've heard in multiple businesses, corporations, something that I've read in books, and something that to this day I carry with me because I think it's so damn important. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. They don't care how much you know until they actually know that you give some type of about them. That's what it comes down to, right? Okay. So I found for me, personally, my why. What was my why? Well, I had to go back and I had to retrace my steps. And hopefully this helps you all. Number one, when is it that I was the happiest? Okay? When was I the happiest? If you can isolate the times in your life that meant the most to you, then you can find what I like to call the first of the 3 P's. You can find your passion. Find the time in your life in which you were the happiest. And you'll begin to identify your passions. And why is it so important that we identify our passions? The last thing anybody wants to do is wake up in the morning, go to a job, and sit out front and not want to go in. It's the last thing. That's the last thing anybody wants to do, right? You're not passionate about it. You're not invested in that. You're trepidatious. There's a piece going on there that's just not all right, right? You're just going through the motions in order to get by, in order to earn a paycheck, and that's not okay. That's not why you're here now watching this. That's not why you're here now sitting in this room having this conversation with me. You're here because you need to identify this. You're here because maybe you have identified it already, but you need that extra nudge. You need that extra push. You need that extra piece to really go back to the why. Identify your passion. You've got to identify your passion. For me, that passion is helping others. That passion is watching other people succeed, helping them get to the next level, helping them ultimately achieve their dreams. Because I know, kind of like when I was in the corporate American system, they would say, "Hey, Raj, here's your budget." And so it's great. I'd take my budget, I'd look at it, put it in the drawer, shut the drawer, go out there, and I would sit down with every single individual employee, and I would talk to every individual employee about what it is that they wanted to achieve. And it wouldn't necessarily be about a number goal. I don't care about the number goal. That's great. We'll get there. It's your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is it that I'm going to walk up to you every day and say, "Hey, how's it going? Are we getting closer to that new house that you wanted to buy because you got the baby coming?" What's your why? It's not just about collecting a paycheck. Your why is about so much more than that. It's about maybe helping others. Maybe it's about just your family. Is there a selfish piece to that? Absolutely. And that's okay. That's okay. You have to remove the plank from your own eye before you can remove the plank from your brother's eye. You've got to do that. You've got to make sure that you have identified this. So what's your passion? Okay. You find your passion. First, I love my passion is public speaking. Can you tell? No, right? I love public speaking. I love talking. I love motivating. I love watching people drive to a higher level. I love watching, seeing that. Sitting down with people. That's mine. Okay. Well, what's yours? So find the time in which you are happiest. Find that time, right? And then from there, you can begin to identify the rest. So out of the 3 P's, passion, persistence, because you've got to persist. You've got to persist. Once you find your passion, you can't just stop there. Persistence is an action. It's an action. Perseverance. That's a mindset. That's a mindset. 3 P's. Passion, persistence, perseverance. That's a mindset. A lot of times when you sit down with mentors, trainers, not even mentors, I'm not going to take mentors out. Let's talk about trainers, right? Or management, right? We're going to go above this. We're trying to escalate out of this. Management is managing people. It's not what it's about. It's about relationships. That's what it's about. It's about building relationships. People work harder when they trust you. Okay. So, passion, persistence, perseverance, and find your why. So we're saying trainers, managers, when you go to sit down with them, a lot of times they will give you a playbook. But the playbook isn't necessarily focused on you. The playbook is typically more so focused on what's worked for everybody else. What's worked in the past, right? And they said, "Hey, this worked for Joe Schmo, so make sure that you go do exactly what Joe Schmo did, and hey, you'll be successful." That's a lot of what we see nowadays. But what I challenge you to do, and what I challenge leadership, what I challenge you to do for yourself first, is to identify the three things that you are the most passionate about. And then I want you to take that back, because these are principles that you can apply not just to your business, but that you can apply at home too. You can apply to your friends, your family, apply them. Because again, everything you do revolves around the why. And your why at home should be the same as your why at work. It should all be the same. Because it's all you, right? You are the same person that you are at work, at least you should be. I understand, yeah, maybe you've got to play a little bit different role, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a different person. Okay? So I challenge you to find your most passionate, your top three passions. Those times that you were the happiest, those times that you were the most successful. I almost forgot how to spell successful. It's still early. I'm doing the times that you were happiest, times that you were the most successful, and the times that, and this is the big one. The times when you felt the most vibrant. Now, that's a different word, vibrant. It's not a word that we use very often. But why do I say vibrant? I use that word because when you wake up in the morning, you've got a vacation plan or golf outing. I use this analogy. I talked about this the other day with, I was at a golf tournament. And I told the guys that I was on the tournament with, I'm like, today was like waking up for a vacation. I got up, I woke up at like 4:30 a.m. I made all the kids lunches for the day because I wasn't going to be there to help out in the morning. And then I was pumped up, ready to go. I jumped out the door at 5:45 so I could be at the golf course by 6 so I could turn around and, I'm out there slicing and hurting myself before I even get on the course. And it was fantastic. It's like I was going to Disneyland or something, right? But on a work day, oh God, my feet hurt when I get out of bed. My back hurts when I get out of bed. Man, it's going to be a rough day today. But it doesn't have to be a rough day today. Not when you do something that you're passionate about. Not if you find your why. Not if you find the things that you care about. That doesn't mean that we all have to change the world. That's not what that means. What it means is that in order to be happy, not content, in order to be happy, you got to have a why. And at the end of the day, there's one more word that I'm going to leave us with. We all need, in some way, shape, or form, to feel fulfilled. We all need a way to feel fulfilled. And again, it goes back to your why. So find the three things that you're passionate about and center your days around that. So what I tell my folks who are in the real estate business, for example, as opposed to listening to everybody about the 3 or 4 things that you have to do in order to be successful. You have to make phone calls. You have to go door knocking. You have to hold open houses. You have to blah, blah, blah. Yeah, those are all great things. But what I tell the folks that I work with is simple. If you don't enjoy doing that, it's painfully obvious to the consumer while you're doing it. Find your niche. Find your home. Find what fits best for you. Maybe that means networking events. Okay, great. Maybe that means getting together with lenders and hosting seminars for new buyers. Who knows? There's a variety of things that you can do that you're passionate about in life. Say you're a car lover. Great. Join as many car clubs as you can and then build relationships with as many people as possible. You're doing something that you love and you're building a network with people that can identify and relate with you. And now all of a sudden you have business connections down the line. These are the pieces that we miss out on. We're too busy and too focused on social media and immediate attention. And don't get me wrong, social media is fantastic for touch points. It's fantastic for touch points. Right now, I'm sitting here and I'm able to not just touch the people that are sitting here in this room, but I'm also able to touch the hundreds of people that are going to watch this. Hopefully thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Hit subscribe. That Bald Guy. YouTube. It's about the touch points. So again, find your why. Find your why. All right. I have exceeded our limit, I think, for the day. We are at 20 minutes. So I'm going to come back at this point. For those of you that are here, we'll stick around for a little while, answer any kind of questions that you have, talk a little bit more. I know today was a pretty broad, pretty general topic. We jumped into the why, because you got to have a why behind your what. Okay? You got to have a why behind your what. Next week, we're going to continue on. We're not going to talk necessarily about the why. But I think it's important that we start building out the fundamentals of how to construct our days. I think it's important. So if you have questions, comments, if you have feedback that you want to give in regards to topics, things that you want to hear more about, things you want us to touch on, please let me know. We will also have social media experts that come through over the course of the next couple of months. We're going to be doing this every single Monday at 8:30 a.m. We're going to be talking about different things. This is just a way to kickstart your week. And I couldn't think of any better way than to kickstart this week, to kickstart this series with passion, with finding our why and building a foundation. So I challenge you. I challenge each and every one of you to really dig and figure out why it is that you do what you do. It's not just for the money. It's not just for survival, right? That's a piece. But it's for a much, much higher purpose and a much bigger reason. You know what that is. It's just a matter of identifying it. And once you identify that, you'll unlock the rest of it. Passion, persistence, perseverance. All the things that'll help make you feel fulfilled. Be safe and blessed, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. God bless.